Listen, are you getting exhausted of trying to master algorithms and AI and the perfect reel and whatever else it takes to win on social? Same, 100% same. That's why I sat down with one of my business buds. She's an SEO and Google Ads expert, Glenneth Reed, and we're going to try to cut through some of this noise. In this episode, we're going to talk about what's really working in 2025 and how small businesses are still turning searches into sales. Hey there, creative business owners. Welcome to the Higher Purpose Marketing Strategy Podcast. I'm Ashley Conway, and for over 20 years, I've been helping creative businesses as a marketing expert and copywriter. If you've ever felt like your branding or marketing is holding back your business's growth and you're over being on the DIY hamster wheel, you're in the right place. Each week, I'll walk you through simple, story-filled strategies to build a harmonious marketing system that attracts your ideal high-paying clients without the overwhelm. Ready to make marketing work for you? Let's go. Listen, I know you don't need more generic marketing noise. Neither do I, frankly. And I wanted to bring in someone who lives and breathes this subject every single day. Glenneth Reed is an SEO, Google Ads, and online marketing expert who works with small businesses and online entrepreneurs. Her goal is to help you get visible on Google so you can attract new customers and become profitable. She lives in Knoxville, Tennessee, and her hobbies include weightlifting, online shopping, and all things tech and gadgets. Here is our conversation. I can't wait for everyone to hear this conversation. So just as some backstory, I have told you all plenty of times before, I've been in the marketing world for a very long time. But that doesn't mean I'm an expert in every single part of marketing. That means when it comes to strategy and copywriting, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't pretend to be an expert on every single thing. Like if you want social media strategy, I'm going to bring in somebody I know. And if you want SEO and Google strategy, I'm going to bring in somebody who's great that I know. And that is what Glenneth is here with me for. She eats and sleeps this stuff every day. And I wanted to get her take on the state of SEO and Google in 2025 when I feel like so much is changing. AI is coming in, that's making a big difference. There's like an oversaturation in social media of voices. So many things in the marketing world are changing. And I wanted to get her take on, from an SEO Google perspective, what does it look like right now? And how can we best use these avenues to grow our businesses? So Glenneth, before we jump in and really get going in all the details, just encourage us that this is still like a really good tactic. So like, what is a small business that you have worked with this year who has had a lot of success using Google? We'll just call it, for the broad term, Google.
I have I have a dumpster rental customer. I have a med spa. I have a couple fitness studios. And the majority of their leads, and when I say majority, I mean like 60% and up, are coming from either organic or Google Ads, depending on where they're putting their money. So it is still here. Yes, things change, things always change, but people are on the web, people are living online, and actually now everything is a search engine.
Yeah, that's a good point, because I've even heard, like, with this rise of AI thing, people are using that to try to search for, who do I use? So you're right. Google's a search engine. Everything is a search engine. Or I meant to say YouTube. YouTube is also like a big one.
Yeah.
Have you seen a change with Google in the last 2 to 3 years, let's say?
They play with the algorithm constantly. I think we all fuss about the Instagram algorithm so much. Google is constantly changing its algorithm, and they're making core updates multiple times a year, typically at least once a quarter. But what's not changing is these search engines are looking for relevant quality content. And that's going to be on a website. Now, it may now be on your Instagram posts. Like a few months ago, people were like, oh, your Instagram posts could show up in Google.
Mhm.
Actually, they could have shown up before. But now it's just more likely that they may show up, but not if you don't have the quality content. It's not just magic, it's not just going to show up. And that's where AI comes in. AI is not magic, it's not making this stuff up. AI is a faster search engine that's pulling from the web, it's doing all the research, but it's still looking at the websites. It's still doing the same thing that Google is and trying to decide what has the best content, what's on the fastest site, what is the most relevant to what the person who is typing this in is asking for. I have a customer they're a local client, but they're actually a national chemical distributor. They are starting to get a significant amount of traffic from ChatGPT.
Hmm.
Now, that being said, they have focused on their SEO and content and blogging for years. They've actually been a client for over 10 years.
Wow.
And this has been one of their main focus, and they're actually continuing to add. And this year, they've added a couple more people to their marketing department. Again, kind of different. They're a multi-million-dollar company. They have resources, but it just shows that content is still king. Like, that's not going to go away because these search engines need something to offer the person who is asking the question.
Well, that makes me think, let's rewind a little bit because I mean, kind of who's in my audience is either going to be a creative entrepreneur who has a local brick and mortar, they're a photographer, they're a designer, they're an organizer, whatever it may be. So I'm not going to rain on your parade, but I tell them SEO is should be a huge part of your marketing plan because people are Googling designer near me, whatever it is. Can you speak to like that and an online entrepreneur? Like, is it equally as important for an online business owner to focus on SEO as much as a local business owner?
It actually is. It's actually beneficial for both. Now, with your local people, here's the thing that a lot of local people miss. And it is because they, like us all, we're entrenched in our own business. We are going to miss the things. I cannot tell you how many times I go on a local business website, but I don't know it's a local business. I can't tell you from the homepage where they are. And that is a huge problem, not just for me, the person who wants to use you, but from a Google or an AI perspective. Like, it needs to be absolutely drilled in. I'm in Knoxville. If I were, just a local business, that needs to be in my title tag. It needs to be in my meta description. It should be on my homepage multiple times. So many people say, well, I have my address down in the footer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in teeny bitty type. You need to be saying when you start that first paragraph on your homepage and you are a local business, as a such and such service provider, we da 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 da. Use your city, use it. Don't make that person hunt for it. And for that matter, on every service page that you have, let's say you're a photographer and you do branding and you do senior portraits and you do maternity and you do engagement and you have a specific page for each one of those, which you should.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure on every one of those pages you are saying where you are, because what if the first page that they see is one of those service pages and you've not said where you're located? You're going to lose business over that. And I see this time and time again. I talked to a lady earlier this week and I'm like, oh, she's in Knoxville. That wasn't clear to me.
Now, let me ask you a question about that, because usually with these types of business owners, it's their, I'm going to use an example I know. So it's not just that they're in Salt Lake City, that would be the number one keyword, I would think. It's they're also serving all of these smaller cities like in the metro. But it's going to be really hard to put all of those in the copy and make it sound natural. So should we prioritize like the main one? What's your thoughts there?
I would always prioritize the main one, and then put, serving Knoxville and surrounding counties. Let's remember that Google and AI know who the surrounding counties are.
Good point.
So that's one. I might in the footer or on the contact page or within the service, say we service these areas and just be
Mm-hmm.
very clear about it. And even I've seen some people say, not in these areas, but close, give us a call.
Mm-hmm.
They just need some sort of reference as to where you are.
Yeah, that's a good point that they are better thinkers maybe than we give them credit for. Because even as the person who, I mean, I've worked on a lot of web copy, but I'm thinking I need to spell it out in a few different places versus, I mean, if I go in and type in a restaurant near me, there, even though I'm not in, Salt Lake City downtown, they're still going to give me places that are because they know. They know
Yeah.
that I live in a suburb of Salt Lake. So they're still going to feed me. It's still going to feed me restaurants that are downtown, even though that's not, it's like a
Yes.
30-minute drive.
I get that too for Knoxville. I will say, and they're going to feed me some that are downtown, and I'll be like, that is not the area of town I want to go to, people.
Right.
So being as specific as possible in as many places. The other thing is, a lot of local businesses, they want the phone call. Like they
Mm-hmm.
convert
Yes.
people through a phone call.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make your person search for the phone number.
Right.
Don't. Put it in the upper right hand corner. Put it in the footer. Put it on a contact page. Have it multiple places. Once is not enough.
Right.
People are not on your site that long. They are used to seeing things in certain places. And if they can't find it easily, they will go to your competitor.
Absolutely. And I know that now, I mean, I see a lot of people who are like trying to do this dual thing of you can fill out a contact form and get a hold of us or the phone number, which is fine, but you better make sure they're both visible in a lot of different places because some
Yes.
people have preferences and they don't want to do a contact form.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, we all have our preferred ways that we want to hear from people.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I'll take however you want to contact me. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to give you, if you want to send me an Instagram DM, if you want to, you know, send me a contact form, shoot me an email, I will take whatever way. Kind of like payment. I don't care how you want to pay me. I will take that form of payment. So, but you have to let them know and give them those options because, again, if you're not, most likely your competitor is. And then the other thing to test and test again, and while this isn't really SEO, let's say you've gotten them to your website, your SEO has brought them to your site. Have you tested your contact form? Contact forms are one of the things on a site that can typically break or just not go to where they're supposed to. It is the first thing I have my assistant do every week for me. He goes to my contact form, he fills out the contact form, and now we've even added in, he fills it in on desktop and he fills it in on mobile. And that clues me in that he started his work and we know it's working.
Mm-hmm. That's really
Because,
smart. And especially the mobile angle. Cause I mean, when you're designing a site, you're typically doing it on desktop and you have to remember to take the extra step to check
yes.
what's it looking like on the mobile side.
Yes. Is it working? Can you, and what happened with one of my clients that I was working with, you couldn't get to the submit button on their contact form. Like you could fill it out, but you couldn't actually, the submit wasn't working. And they were, when 50% of the traffic these days comes from a mobile, you need to be checking it on both. I
Right.
actually, literally right before we started this, I did a short little story snippet about how if you're creating a new product or something, test that page on desktop and mobile. This one was almost backwards. The mobile version of her site worked, the desktop did not.
Huh.
And so I actually wanted to buy it on desktop, just being, older, buy things on my desktop.
Yeah.
And I couldn't. I had to go back to my phone to buy it. And I'm like, how many people came at it at the desktop to begin with,
Mm-hmm.
saw a blank page and abandoned it?
Right. Cause they're not going to think, oh, maybe it works on this other version.
Yeah.
You're just like, I give up. And I think, I mean, a note to like on the system side, I mean, whether you want a checklist when you're creating something that reminds you to do both, check both versions, check your links, check, go through the process, or you have like a system set up for you where something is automated. I mean, there are ways to make that easier so you don't have to depend on yourself to remember every time you're creating a new
Yeah.
thing.
Create a checklist, create a task, and especially it does not hurt to go back and check it. And especially if you've done something to your website.
Mm-hmm.
If you've had something done to your website, have that, okay, let me go back and check everything. Let me make sure that everything is working because you may be losing business and not realizing why.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And it may even be better if you can to have someone else check it who doesn't know as much as you do.
I always say, I love my friends. My friends love me. They support me. They're not on my website a lot. Hey, can y'all go check out this page? Does this work for you? Give them a code to buy it for $1 and then give them $1 back or buy them a coffee or something. There are ways to do this so you can make sure your whole process works so that when you launch or when you're out, you just know, okay, this is set up, this is working.
Right. That's awesome. I feel like those are some great ideas for the local entrepreneurs. What about online? What do you have?
Online gets a little bit more difficult because there's so many,
Yeah.
and you really have to be specific about what is it that you do. And you have to get your SEO correct. You have to have those title tags. You have to have the meta descriptions. You have to have a fast loading site. Google really does prioritize that. And I asked ChatGPT, how can businesses show up more with you? And one of the things was fast loading site, because think about it this way, if ChatGPT can't get it to load for them, they're going to abandon it.
True.
So let's, really start thinking about, can I get it to load fast? Is it quick? Am I sharing the right information? And then having content.
Mm-hmm. And
You,
is that typically blog to have fresh content? What do you recommend?
either blogs, service pages, FAQs, if you do a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
So many people, well, I have a podcast. Okay, great. Where is it on your website?
Right. Because it
And
takes an extra step and extra work to put up a
yeah,
post about it.
yeah, it absolutely does. But if you take that podcast, even just the voice recording, and then the transcript and put it on your website, well, now
Mm-hmm.
Google's got something to start pulling from, do a little bit of the work. And if they're on your site and they're listening to it and they're reading at the same time, here's what they're doing. They're staying on your site longer. They're not staying on
Ah,
Apple, Spotify. They're not staying on all of those. They're on your site. They're making that average time on site longer, which just gives you more credibility and authority with Google. And who wouldn't want that?
that's a really good point. Shoot, even I don't do that. I
Yeah.
just have a blog post that's like summarizing what it was about.
Yeah. Same thing for YouTube videos. YouTube is a great search engine. There are people who forget YouTube exists. That is typically me for some reason. But do your video, put it on YouTube, right? Optimized, all the things,
Mm-hmm.
but then embed it into your website, do the transcript. If people get there and they're watching the video and they're reading, they're now on your site longer and it's helping you. And why wouldn't you want that?
Yeah, that's a really great idea. The other thing I'd love to get your opinion on that you kind of touched on was like you were talking about your title tags and your meta descriptions and all of that. Something I see is people wanting to describe themselves in one way, but that's not necessarily the exact words their client, their potential customer would use. And I feel like that's a lot of where the SEO research comes in, knowing like
Yeah.
what's the correct term. Just because you call yourself a consultant, whatever made up term it is, especially for online business owners, where it's not so clear cut
Yeah.
that it really you have to know Google, which is why it's great to have someone like you in your back pocket.
And the biggest thing I tell people is take that term, go to Google and search it. What shows up? If your competitors show up, then okay, you may be in the right spot. But
Mm-hmm.
if things that don't really relate to you show up, probably not a term you should be using. So many people want to spend, lots of money on these keyword trackers and everything.
Right.
Unless you're an SEO person, you really don't need that. You need to be doing your keyword research at Google. You need to be going in, you need to be putting it in there. Am I in the right place? Is this something people are searching for by what Google shows? And you may think it means one thing, but to Google, it means something else. And I cannot think of the thing. It's been years ago that it happened, but this one client was like, we need to use this, we need to use this. And I went and I searched it and I'm like, it brings up hockey stuff. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, does that have anything with what you're doing? And they're like, no. And I'm like, then let's not.
Right.
You know, people create packages. Well, unless you're a huge brand that people know the name of immediately, call it what it actually is. Can you name it something? Yes, absolutely. But that shouldn't be what you optimize around.
Right.
Optimize around what it is, what problem it solves, who it's for. Yes, you can use the name, but just not, people aren't going to be searching for it.
I just literally just had this conversation with my husband this morning because he's an engineer. He was working on this project for someone and they wanted to come up with this really clever title for this product. And we already have a tagline. And I said, that does not at all describe what you're actually making. And I think that's the rule. It's shifted. It's not about being clever anymore, though you do want to get attention. It's about being descriptive,
Yeah.
super clear about what the thing is.
Yeah. Yeah, you can be clever, but you need to be clear in what you do. Years ago, I worked with an accounting firm and they wanted to call something the ACT method. I'm like, what is that? They're like, oh, it's accounts receivable. I'm like, that's what your person's looking for. They're like, oh, well, we don't want to put that on. They literally did not want those words on the page. And I'm like, this is a problem.
Yeah.
I'm like, they're not going to find, they don't know it as that. Your person knows what they're looking for. They've heard it before. This is how they talk. You need to talk in the language of your ideal client.
Right. Because even think like the biggest brands that I can think of, the people that are extremely visible and they give their program some kind of a name. I mean, Dave Ramsey's the one I'm thinking of. I can't even think of his program name. I just know it's like the cash envelope system.
Yeah.
And that's what I would Google if I were looking for it.
Absolutely. I would do that, or I would Google his name.
Right.
And yet the person who doesn't know Dave Ramsey is looking for, how can I save money? How can I, get out of debt? That's what his ideal client is searching for. Because if they already know Dave Ramsey or the cash envelope system, they already know him. They are at a somewhat of a know, like, and trust level.
True.
You are making that website for that person who doesn't know you yet. You want them to find you because the other people already know where to find you.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That it's so hard too, because you're like, people already know me and I don't have to talk about the basic things. I don't have to create content around the very basic things anymore. And I have had this conversation with multiple people. You really do. Because not everybody does know you or know what you're all about or your processes, your frameworks. You do have to try to get people in with the very basic foundations of what you're about.
And just because they've signed up on your email list does not actually mean they remember what you do. Especially when it comes to online, because think about how many subscriptions most of us have. I get emails every day and I'm like, what do they do again? And I'm getting emails every day and I'm like, what is it they do? Yeah, we don't know. We have to continually remind people. And so ultimately it's getting found first and getting that person on our email list, on our social, wherever it is that we're going to then put out that content again and again so that they go, oh, I want to work with her. And then having an easy way for them to actually work with us.
These are such good reminders. I mean, you're right. It's like the basic reminders talk about the foundational things, remind people who you are. And those are sometimes the very first things you forget.
People make SEO too complicated. For some reason, everybody wants to immediately go to backlinks. Oh, well, I'm paying a service to do backlinks. 9 times out of 10, if you are paying a service to do backlinks, you are actually doing more damage to your website than good. It's just Google wants natural backlinks. They are smarter than we are. They can tell a lot of these backlink places are from farms where they just put your site on your link on a website and link to it. It has no juice whatsoever. It could actually be hurting you. That is not your normal small business owner does not need that. You need to start with the basics. Have a website. Make sure it loads quickly. Make sure it's mobile friendly. Do your title tags. Do your meta descriptions. Have some headings. Have some content. Do your alt text. Like, it is absolutely the basics. And until you're really getting the basics down and you've got all of those and you're getting the content, you don't really need to be worrying about the rest. Most small businesses will never get to that next needing to worry about.
And even those basic things, title tag, meta description, I don't even recommend for the average small business owner to be, because they're going to have to teach themselves what that means, where it goes, how do I find it on my site, what do I put in here, what does it need to contain. I'm like, even at the bare minimum, ask AI to write something like that for you, or if that's all you can afford, or get somebody to help. Don't try to teach yourself. I mean, I think that's kind of, even that is complicated.
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's like, let's start there. And ultimately, it's having that content on your website. Your homepage should have information. It shouldn't just be a photo. Gone are the days of the splash photo that says enter here. No, we're not doing that anymore. We're having what you do, the types of services. If you're local, put that on there. How do you want to be contacted? Do you have other content? What are your most popular pieces of content? It shouldn't be a huge, long, I am 100% anti the long sales pages where you have to scroll indefinitely. Yeah. I'm like, I don't have time for that. But you need to put enough information for the person and for the search engine to understand what you do.
Right. And I mean, the other question that usually comes up when I talk to people about SEO, and not the ads, but you can speak to that too, is, okay, how does this actually get me leads or sales versus just people coming to my site? Like, how do you measure that? Yeah. Whether, because it's real easy to see traffic you're getting if you go into your analytics, but how do you track that into actual sales? How do you convert it?
The biggest thing I tell people, one, you need Google Analytics set up. You don't know what you don't know. We need to get Google Analytics set up. Secondly, your contact form, if that's what you're wanting people to do, then what we want to do is we want to set up a thank you page after the contact form. A lot of times, if you go on a website, you fill it in, you click submit, it just immediately says thank you. And if you notice, the URL has not changed. We want to change that URL. We want to take it from submit to a thank you page, and that thank you page is going to become our conversion. And then we will know, okay, 10 people went to the contact form. 2 people filled it out, but we will also know 1 came from organic, 1 came from Instagram, maybe. We will have that information. The thank you page is then also a great space because people are seeing it. What do you want them to do next? Do you maybe want them to go follow you on Instagram? Is there maybe a low ticket offer that you can try to sell them? What do you want them to do? Because you've kind of got their attention for a split second. Mm-hmm. What do you want them to do? But it's called a conversion or a key event in analytics. And it's actually really easy to set up. But then tracking it just gives us such valuable information. And here's what I will tell you. Organic or paid Google drives probably 60+% of all the conversions that I see.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
We
significant.
spend so much time on social and
Yes.
creating and consuming and worrying about it. And not, no offense to all the social media managers out there, but paying thousands of dollars. If you're going to pay $2,000 a month for social media, you better be spending that much or more on your SEO. And I guarantee you, you're not.
Do you see that across the board for local and for online businesses? The
Yeah.
60%?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah, I absolutely do. Social does not drive the conversions like organic. And it's especially, I would say, especially for local. Um,
Mhm.
People are searching for it. They are going. Also, those of us who are really in the online sphere, we tend to forget that not everybody has social media. We live on it. We breathe it. It is a daily occurrence in our lives. There are people who go day to day and check their Facebook once. But they're on Google. They're searching for things. They're online. They're just not online like we are.
True. And think about, so we're recording this September the 23rd. So times like this, when social is even more contentious than usual, and there's so much division, there will be a decent amount of people who pull back and say, I can't deal with that right now. So I'm going to go off of social for a period of time as much as I can. So if you're depending on that to be your only way to get in front of people, then you are hurting in times when people don't want to be on social anymore, or it just blacks out,
Yeah.
or whatever happens at, the
Yeah.
Meta
Yeah.
headquarters.
And again, there's two things as a business owner that you own. One is your website, one is your email list. We rent our space on social. It's
Right.
free. It's free. We can sign up for free. Yeah. We don't know what's going to happen. Look at TikTok. It's been up, down, bought, sold. They're changing the algorithm. It I'm on it only as a consumer, but I know that there are hundreds of thousands of people who make their living on TikTok. And I can only imagine what they're going through now, thinking about providing for their family.
Mm-hmm.
Think about what you own: your website, your email list. Focus on that. How can you grow that? How can you drive people to your website and get them to sign up on your email list so then you can nurture and market however you want?
Right. Yeah. That's just a really wise step, especially in, I feel like, a year like this where there is so much up in the air and constantly changing, that
Yeah.
to have kind of another plan. Don't let that be your, this is the only way I get leads plan.
Yeah. But as a, let's say, wedding photographer in Knoxville, just because they're not on social doesn't mean they're not looking for a wedding photographer.
Right.
You know, that's it's what happens. They're going to go. They're going to go to Google. Or a friend may say, "Oh, I heard about this place. I don't really remember the name, but it's something like, okay, are you showing up?" You need to be showing up for your own business name too. And I've seen people who are not.
Which you would think that would be the very easiest thing that you can
You would
rank
think.
with.
You would think. So, it's the basics.
Mhm.
Go do your research. Go to an incognito window. Type in your business name. Type in your name. Are you showing up? Then start typing in, if you are a wedding photographer in Knoxville, type it in. See where you're at. Honestly, see what your competitors doing. What phrases are they using? Obviously, you can't copy exactly, and you're not going to copy their content exactly. And every photographer has different vibes.
Mhm.
You could look at 5 photographers and go, "Oh, that is not the photos I want. This is the one I want." You want those people. But that's how you do your research. And that's what's really important. And that's what's going to make you show up, is getting it is truly the basics.
Mhm. And I think a lot of times it does help to, I mean, even just listening to you talk and me having already a base knowledge about SEO, there are things that I'm like, shoot, I haven't thought about that. And that's an easy thing. It would be an easy thing that I can go make a change in, and it takes me 10 minutes or less, but it makes
Yeah.
a big difference. It's so helps to, and I keep hitting this over and over again every time I talk to someone. It helps to talk to somebody who is the expert. We only know what we know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need somebody to kind of daylight the questions like this, like the simple things, are you known for your own business name on Google? Like, this is how you go test it in a really simple way where you don't have to buy anything, do anything special, get a keyword searcher, just go do this.
And the other thing is, know that your website will never be finished and it will never be perfect. If you are out here and you haven't hit publish yet because you are waiting on things, no, hit publish. Hit publish today. I don't care that it's not finished. I don't care that you don't have all the pages. Get it in Google now. Let Google start seeing it. It should never be done. Nothing is ever perfect. You can always make changes because things are always changing, but get it done. And then also be willing to be flexible. I had a call with a client earlier today, and she had made some changes over the summer, and she's like, this page is just, and we ran a site speed on it, and I'm like, it crashed Google. And so we went to that page and I looked, and it was a testimonial page, and she had videos on it. And I'm like, but they were hosted at YouTube. But she had so many, like she's got this amazing array of video testimonials. And I'm like, go, that this is great. And I said to her, could you cut it down to your 8 favorite ones and then just put a link and send them to the playlist at YouTube? And she's like, yes. She knows that that will speed up her site in general and help her. Somebody who said no is just putting themselves in a not so good position. They're making their site slower than it needs to be. So be willing to be flexible. There's always some ways we can think of, different ways to do things, but it's never going to be perfect. And that's okay.
Right. But the only way, and this is how a lot of clients come to me. It's like, something isn't working. I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to fix it. And that's what I need you to go do. And that's what she needed you to do, to say, oh, this is the page that's causing an issue, and this is how we work around this, so we kind of avoid this.
Yeah.
And it makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. Because was the content on the page great? Absolutely. The amount of, it was phenomenal. But I'm like, we may need to just scale this back a little bit. And, she can always switch the 8 out for ones, that are more relevant, or if she gets one that maybe speaks to something different. But then I'm like, just make you a playlist on YouTube, call it testimonials, link to that playlist, boom.
Now, would you say for something like that, kind of what I tell people is to do a mix on a testimonials page like that? Like, let's have some quotes. You can have audio if you want it. You can have video if you want it. Like, do a mix for the people who don't want to watch a video or whatever it is. But I'm thinking about that from an SEO perspective. Can Google review all of those things the same way? Is text just as good as video?
So Google can't really read the video. She did have some text, and she actually has testimonials on another page. She was just trying to get the video testimonials somewhere. And I'm like, let's let them live in YouTube and just,
Gotcha.
put a few
She was
here.
housing them
So
on the site instead of YouTube.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Do remember that Google can't really read graphics. They can read text. If you can go to a website and copy something, then Google can read that. But if you've put up a Canva image with your wording on it, Google can't read that.
Right. I mean, the same thing works in email. If your email is all images, then you're going to get flagged by Google, and you're going to be sent to Gmail jail and nobody's going to see it because it's too much images. I mean, we have to, and that's part of it too, is understanding what can Google know and what does Google not know.
Yeah. Google really does want the basic. It wants the basic text. It's like it just wants to read all the text, and it wants to sort them, and then it wants to share based on the searcher. The other thing to remember, even if you are running Google Ads, you are not the client. Google's client is the person that sits at their keyboard in front of the search engine and types a question, or types wedding photographer Knoxville. That is who Google considers their client. Mm-hmm. And their goal is to provide them with the best, most relevant information in the fastest time. So once you really start thinking about that, then you can realize, okay, I need to present this in a way that Google wants to share my info because they
Right.
want to provide this info to the person. You just need to have the best, most relevant, if it's local, closest to where that person is. The
Hmm.
other thing people don't realize is, you and I could both be in Knoxville, but 10 miles apart, type in the exact same phrase, we're going to get two different sets of answers.
Hmm.
And it's going to be one based on where we are, but also based on our past history of searches and what we have clicked on.
Who that makes it really, it does make it tough for a business owner, but that's, I guess, why, and that's one of the reasons I talk about, like, you have to know what your ideal customer is, and it can't be all Knoxville residents.
Yeah. Yeah. I've worked with this little karate studio for 12 years. We know his ideal client really down to mileage. Like his mileage is less than 10 miles around his facility.
That's incredible that he was
You know,
willing, because a lot of times it's hard to say, well, I don't want to miss out on somebody
yeah.
outside of this.
Yeah. When we run Google Ads, we run it at 10 miles or less because he knows that people aren't going to drive that far for karate. Like he just knows.
Hmm.
I worked with a esthetician business in Toronto. And I've never been to Toronto. I don't know anything about the city, but she knew that her person was in a 4 mile radius.
Wow. So
Like
that's how
she,
you targeted the ad.
yeah. So that's how we targeted the ad. Now are there other obviously local businesses that have a wider, yes, they're like, my personal drive 60 minutes for this. Great. We,
Hmm.
can map it out. So, knowing who your ideal client is, key. Writing for them, key. Using their verbiage, this is what we want. And
Right.
it's
And how
what
does she
Google
know that?
wants.
I'm sure she probably asked, like, where do you
Yeah.
live? How far are you from here?
Yeah.
How far would you drive for this? It's really easy
Yeah.
when you break it down. You just have to take the extra time and be intentional about, asking.
Yeah.
I'm creating a Google ad. Tell me, how far do you live from here?
Yeah. Yeah. They just know. And it goes back to the, talking about the AI thing. AI essentially, you know, an enhanced Google. It's just a little more interactive. It's getting, it's learning you even more because it's storing that information. But
Right.
when you ask it a question, you've seen it because it'll be like thinking, searching
Mhm.
the web. It's searching the websites. So, like, if you have a site that isn't indexable by Google, guess what? It's not by ChatGPT either.
Hmm. That's great. And I think that's something to keep in mind when we ask ChatGPT for things. It's not a human.
Yeah.
So I ask it a lot of things just to test it. And I'm like, that's a really bad decision.
Yeah.
It'll say, yeah, I will go ahead and it'll be a good order taker and it will research and it will do what I need it to do, but it is not a good decision maker. So I can't ask it to do great decision making work.
Yeah. ChatGPT can be wrong. I mean, it is a fact. It can absolutely be wrong. You need to be, very careful, check your sources, all of that. Um, I will say, if you've been, say you've been in business a while, you know what type of traffic you usually get. If all of a sudden your traffic just drops off, you need to start investigating that as a problem. There can be something that got added to your robots txt, to your sitemap, to your site. Like, this is why you also need to be reviewing your data every month. And I get so many business owners who come to me and I'm like, okay, do you have Google Analytics installed? And they're like, yes. And we go to Google Analytics and they've actually not done the whole process. They set it up, but they didn't install it on their website. So nothing has tracked. And I'll be like, okay, let's get it going. Let's get 30 days of data under our belt so we can see what's going on.
And I think I mean, I'm with you. That's what I'm like every month, track all of your marketing metrics. And I think the majority of business owners do not do that because they're like, I could spend my time or have someone on my team spend their time doing this. And then we would look at it and say, okay, what am I
Yeah.
supposed to do with that? It feels unusable.
Yeah. And what I would say look at is, where is your traffic coming from? What are your best sources? How long are they staying on site?
Mhm.
If nobody's Here's another example. I have an overseas client who's using a company to do social media ads.
Mhm.
They're getting a ton of hits, and I do call them hits on that site. The average second on site is 0 seconds. And I'm like, you are hurting your website. Like, that is not good traffic. You know, it's like, just stop spending the money. Just don't. Just don't do it. So you need to be reviewing these things. Where's your traffic coming from? How many pages are they looking at? How much time are they spending on site? What social platforms are driving it? Typically, you're going to have one social platform that performs the best. Okay, go all in on that.
Right.
But 9 times out of 10, organic traffic is going to send 10 times more traffic than your social platform. Yet my guess is you're spending money on social and not on ranking higher and getting more organic traffic.
100%, because social is supposed to be like more fun and sexy and where everybody's
Yeah.
at, and here's the splash, and that's where all the conversation is happening, kind of thing.
Yeah.
SEO is not as glamorous.
No. No,
But who cares
there,
about glamour when you want actual people coming to make actual purchases?
yeah, there's really nothing fun or sexy about SEO or Google Ads at all. Like, it's just not. I mean, try being the person creating the content for SEO and Google Ads, and it's like, oh my gosh. But it's where people are going.
Right.
People go, and a lot people will say to me, well, what about the other search engines? Trust me, if you're making it so Google can find you, Bing, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, all of those, they can find you. Chat GPT has literally told me it's looking for the same things that Google is looking for. So it's making the site fast, speedy, relevant, having the good content. And does that mean blogging? Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes maybe it's just, and this guy, what was his name? Years ago, he was one of them. He owned a pool company, and then he became a social media speaker. And his company grew so much because he started blogging every question he was asked about pools. Like, they literally did like in-ground pools. And so if somebody would say to him, what's the difference between fiberglass and vinyl, he would write an entire blog post on it. And he was doing it so well, like his traffic was just increasing. And so this wasn't rocket science. He didn't go out and, have to hunt it. It was things he was having to answer anyway. And I guarantee you, all of us have those frequently asked questions that could just be a blog post.
Right. Absolutely. I think it's just a matter of, number one, like, be intentional, keep an ear out for what those things are,
Yeah.
what you keep getting asked, and then set up some kind of a process. When I get
Yeah.
asked a question, I'm going to log it somewhere, and then that's going to go into my feed of what do I blog
Yeah.
about? What are things like that? You could have a team member, a virtual
Yeah.
assistant, or whoever do that for
And
you.
here is one of my favorite ways to use ChatGPT that I don't know that everybody knows. You can do voice to ChatGPT. So when I'm driving is always when I have my ideas. Driving, I will have ideas. And so I will just pull it up in ChatGPT and I'll be like, okay, I don't need you to do anything. I'm just going to talk. And I will just, go through all my things about what I'm thinking about that subject. And, every now and then I'll hit send just to make sure. And then at the end, I'm like, okay, can you formulate that into a blog post?
Huh? I did not know you could do a voice
You can
recording
voice to
that.
when I realized that, it took me a little while, but when I realized that, I'm like, oh, things just got better because, sitting there
Yes.
typing. But
Ugh.
if I can talk, I mean, Google Docs is kind of the same. If you're at your computer, you can do, voice to text with Google Docs,
Hmm.
but Chat GPT can put it in a more usable format, can put it in a, blogish format for you. And then you're almost done. And then what's your reason for not putting it on your website? And
Right.
yes,
I
I'm
mean, and it
talking to
already has your
myself.
voice. So it
Yeah.
can, formats it much cleaner. So if someone wants to, like, I'm thinking of someone that's listening to this, it's an entrepreneur, and they're like, I know this is a weakness for me. Maybe they're probably trying, like, I'm trying to do this well. I don't know that it's really going at its maximum. It's doing all that it could. Where do I start with all of this to kind of clean up and make sure that I'm doing this correctly?
I mean, call me.
Right?
Come see me.
Yes, this is
Fo-
true. And
Follow
we're going to
my
make that
social.
easier.
I would literally say go incognito to Google, search for your business name, search for your name, and search for what you do. Are you showing up? Are you not showing up? Make note of that. Then give your homepage a title tag and a meta description.
Mhm.
And because every platform is different, I guarantee you just go to Google, type in where to put title tag in X platform. They all have the option, they all hide it and call it something weird. Um, do that. Give yourself an SEO title tag and meta description on your homepage. If you are local, go to your page. How many times do you have the city that isn't in the footer, and have it at least 3 times? Make that your goal. Obviously, you want it in the footer, but 3 times in the text. Honestly, and what I would say is above the fold. Don't make them
Mhm.
have to scroll to find out where you are.
Right. So after they get beyond that, I think two of the things you came with bearing free gifts, like the wonderful gal you are. So you have given us a couple of things, one for Google Ads, a visibility workbook, and one for SEO, how to get visible on Google. Can you just tell us briefly a little bit more about those so they know what they're getting? Those links will be in the show notes.
So, the visibility workbook, if you've been thinking about running Google Ads, download this workbook. It's going to tell you a little bit more about Google Ads, but it's going to have a couple of questionnaires, just really short, to see if you're in a place where you should be running Google Ads. Not everybody may be set up yet to where it will be effective. And then Guide to Getting Visible on Google talks about the different places you can get visible on Google. Google Business Profile, YouTube, those sorts of things, and gives you some tips and tricks for those.
I love that. And I know thinking about the person who's listening to this, all of this can feel very overwhelming and confusing. We may be throwing out things that make absolutely no sense, meta descriptions and title tags, and looking at your Google Analytics. And it is, I'm not going to lie, this is complicated, but you are not alone. So we've given you a starting place on a couple of things that you can do now to just like quick fix kind of things. And I just highly encourage you, because this is what I would do myself, is to start engaging with Glenneth, whether it's on her site or on her Instagram at glennethdot.com. So you don't think it's an actual period, it's glenneth.com, to engage with her there, because this is just one of the things that I keep telling people, like, you do not have to become a master at something really complicated. Just like if it was bookkeeping, you don't have to teach yourself everything about how to reconcile accounts. That's when you bring in some support. And this is the exact same way. Is highly technical, but there is help out there. So know that this can make a huge difference in your business, that people are on Google looking for you and all the things that you provide. And Glenneth can help you at the very least get a jump start to get going in the right direction so that you can be the person who is showing up when they make those searches. And that's what we want, especially if you're a local business owner. You absolutely need this. So please go out from here and follow her and engage with her and get some support in this, because I want you to get those phone calls. Glenneth, do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap this up?
I would just say, if you're not spending any time at all on your SEO, where can you spend an hour in the next couple weeks? Can you set aside an hour just to start looking at it, and then start, a little bit more each month, we're all busy. I get it. But this will make a difference. And SEO is the never ending marathon. And if you don't ever get started, you're not ever going to get close to the finish.
Yeah, that's a great point. Don't just take this and then put it in the back of your head and run. Like, put something on your calendar. This has been wonderful. And even I am taking some stuff away from it. So I'm so thankful, Glenneth, that you made time for this conversation. And I know all of my listeners will be as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to today's show. For all things podcast, including transcripts, extra resources, and a place to submit questions for the show, visit higherpurposemarketingstrategy.com. I'd also love for you to do me 2 quick favors. 1, leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and 2, share this episode with your colleagues. And that's a wrap. Meet you back here next week.